Alright folks, so just to give you a little bit of background on this bale grazing experiment and experience that I went through this past winter. Here I'm in a field. I'm sitting actually in a bale grazing spot now. Behind me is where I had placed the bale, and I'm currently sitting in the compaction area where you typically see a ring around where the bale was grazed, where the hooves of the cows and extra hay waste kind of lingers for a couple of years. So in my case, I have a 5-acre paddock here that's slightly sloped, and it's a 5-acre long rectangular field. This field has like a 5.5 pH, which is pretty bad. It's predominantly fescue. We have a spotted knapweed problem in this field, and it's just not that productive. So not knowing really how to bale graze that well, I felt pretty comfortable coming in here and trying this bale grazing experiment, because I was like, I don't think I can mess up this field any worse than it is now. I think I can only make it better. So what I did was I placed 11 bales in this field, strategically placed out about, I think it was about 2 tons an acre. So I had 11 bales and 5 acres, and I bale grazed it for 21 days with 30 head of cattle. Now, I did this bale grazing in mid to late December, and during that 21 days, we actually had sleet, snow, rain, freezing rain, just any type of precipitation you could think of. And I think it was accumulation of about 4.5 inches. So it was wet. And that really concerned me, because I was thinking, oh my gosh, they are going to just tear up, and the compaction layers are going to be awful, and they're just going to make a muddy mess in this field. I will let you know, I had a fescue stockpile in here as I placed the bale, so I wasn't coming in here and the grass was like 2 inches tall. It was kind of probably similar to what it is now, except it was December, so things weren't green and lush. They were stockpiled, kind of laying on the ground, but I still had that good thatch layer there. Again, not a super productive field, but enough that it handled the cattle really well during that time frame. So left them in here 21 days, set up the bale so that I would graze 3 at a time. I would have 3 bales with plastic poly hay rings around 3 bales, and then I would fence the rest of the pasture off. So they only had a small section at a time, and I would not back fence. So they had some stockpile, fescue to nibble on. They had the 3 bales, and I wouldn't move the fence forward to the next 3 bales until they had cleaned up what I had given them. I had mostly dry cows in this group, so I felt pretty comfortable about making them clean up that hay, and they did a really good job actually. There's only about maybe a 1/2 inch of hay right now left over. A lot of that's starting to get decomposed into the ground, but as I moved them throughout that time frame, they were cleaning up the hay really well, and they were getting the fescue down, the stockpile down to, I don't know, between 2 and 4 or 5 inches. So, and the manure distribution was phenomenal, I think. I have a video where I took it right after I had pulled the cattle off, and it's a very even distribution of manure pats, which was very exciting to see, because that's really where you're getting a lot of your nutrition from, is not necessarily the leftovers, but it's really what's coming out the back end of that animal. And Dr. Greg Hallich from the University of Kentucky has a great video discussing and talking about the benefits of the bale grazing experience, and I will link that into this video as well. So in all, I had a great experience with doing this. I love the fact that I didn't have a tractor out here for 21 days during the middle of winter time. I literally just pulled the truck up to the gate, walked down here, pulled the fence up, picked up the round rings because they were that plastic, they were super light, just rolled them to the next set, which was maybe about 100 feet away, and that was it. It was literally probably 10 minutes worth of work to feed them for 3 to 4 days. The experience of it was great. I really enjoyed it, and I'm definitely going to do it again. And I'm really excited to see how these bale spots continue to heal. I know people get really excited about the compaction, and they wonder if weeds are coming up. This particular spot, I really don't see many weeds coming up yet. Again, I've got mostly fescue, orchard grass, and plantain that I see. I think I have some spotted knapweed coming up. Here's a little seedling. I believe that's what this is here. This stuff is all over this field, so it's gonna, and if you know what this plant is and you know how many seeds it produces, it's it's really hard to control. The cows might nibble at some of these new spring leaves, these baby leaves as they come in, but once the plant matures, they really don't touch it. So it can be a problem. I see a couple seedlings of those coming in, but they're kind of here. I'm hoping that the grass can continue to maybe try to compete with that. Fingers crossed, we'll see. I have another spot that I placed the bale 2 years ago. I wasn't bale grazing, I just had a bale out here, and there was quite a bit of compaction in that spot, and that whole spot is now curly dock, and it's about my shoulder length height. So I took a video of it just before I put the cows in here, and I just put the cows in here today. It's June 13th, and I'm going to see if they knob that to the ground, because I know my cows really like curly dock. It's starting to get a little late in the season that they might not get it as much, but they probably will nibble at it. Curly dock is great for compaction because it has a great big taproot that goes deep down into the ground that starts to work on that compaction. So at first it might seem like, oh my gosh, I've got spots of this weed, but over time I believe it will start to, after it does its magic and does away with the compaction, it will kind of phase itself out, and more grasses and forages will come in its place as it starts to remove that compaction. So in all, again, this was an experiment for us, and I don't think that I don't think I hurt this field at all. I think I am definitely on the way to making it better. So again, I'm excited to see what this field can produce for me.